watch when they pulled on his doors. I said a black hand, they took it back like boys. Hey, I'm Frankie like Madonna. Nobody got my law and order. A man to an honor, my good or my God. I just knew he could buy a couple of launcher. I said a black, maybe he would buy marijuana.
All right, so this is really, really important, and once people hear Ukraine, some will probably tune out, but we are talking about the technology that they are saying that they are using, a U.S. company, and this is going to be extremely important to you. In fact, a lot of stuff today is from what is going on with the fires that just knocked out major routes out of L.A., to, of course, this secret weapon, which is a facial recognition tool, to new AI, all the way to a crazy meteor that literally looks like Superman, and they actually say it might not be a meteor, or it could be some sort of weapon. It could be some sort of drone. We don't know. There is a lot going on, not to mention right before a big meeting where we are literally bringing in Xi Jinping, and we're changing the entire town he is coming into to make it look like a facade straight out of North Korea. So there is a lot to go over, but let's get right into it. Ukraine's secret weapon against Russia is a controversial U.S. tech company. It says that the Leonid Timchenko spent the first month of Russia's invasion sitting in his dark government office after curfew, unable to go home. UKR's Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs scrolled through Telegram, looking at thousands of videos and images of advancing Russian soldiers, when Timchenko was offered a chance to test a new facial recognition tool. He uploaded some of the photos to try it out. He could not believe the results. Every time Timchenko added a photo of a Russian soldier, the software, made by an American facial recognition company, Clearview AI, seemed to come back with an exact hit. Linking to pages seemed to have come back. It revealed the soldier's name, hometown, social media profile, even when he uploaded grainy photos of people that were perished on the ground, side viewed, whatever it was. Some of their eyes closed or their faces partially burned. The software was often able to identify the person. It says, quote, "Every day we identified hundreds of Russians who came into Ukraine with weapons," Timchenko tells Time in a video interview from his office in Kiev. It says, in the ongoing war against Russia, Clearview has become the UKR government's secret weapon. It says, Timchenko said, more than 1,500 officials across 18 government agencies are using the facial recognition tool, which has helped them identify more than 230,000 Russian soldiers and officials who have participated in the military invasion. Now, you may not care about what is going on over there or this actual invasion, but you should care that this is U.S. technology by a U.S. company that I guarantee you, they're not going to just give it to UKR's military and not give it to ours. And if the military is using it, that means the government is going to be using it. Now, I've covered such weird events like back in New York a few years ago when they installed this weird $1 million art sculpture, and essentially the thing looked like a bunch of probably 20 cameras in some sort of sculpture piece of art. And a lot of folks believed it was facial recognition. Well, if you think that that's not coming, it is. And this kind of facial recognition is something that I could only compare to the current system that is in China right now. And man, it seems like China is the theme right now. Newsom going to China, Xi Jinping coming here, them cleaning up the streets, putting up a North Korea facade so they look good. So that if Xi looks out his window, he sees rainbows and ponies and people waving Chinese flags. I'm not kidding. This is what he's requested. And now, of course, we have these tools that are now ingrained into our military, into the foreign militaries that they're using. You think that they're not going to use this at home? You're smoking. So we're going to talk about this and much, much more in tonight's episode of Marfoogle TV. Stick with it. Tonight is actually going to be an amazing show. I don't really say that very often. I always say it's a good one, but it's going to be great. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Sorry, I got distracted. I almost didn't continue the show. I was reading Marf, master at reporting facts. That was actually pretty good. I wouldn't say we're the masters, but again, that was pretty clever. I've heard a lot of acronyms with Marf, but never master at reporting facts. That was good. Speaking of facts, we have a lot of stuff in today's news, and a lot of this is verified stuff. This is not like a lot of this stuff is stuff we're going to be able to see with our own eyes, and we will know is happening or feel that it is happening. So today, I'm excited for the show. I'm not excited for what's going on in the world, but I am definitely excited in the fact that, you know, a lot of what we thought was going on is now going on, and we prepared right. It won't feel good if you tell people, a lot of people, over 5 years something's going on and it's not happening. It would feel pretty crappy but it's not going to be that way. Unfortunately, a lot of things are lining up right now, and I would most definitely get yourself a basic plan with your friends and family because it is absolutely getting crazy. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
Now, remember Joe Obama. That's right. Thank you, man. Remember, you can always go over to marfooglenews.com, and you can find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. Just look for today's thumbnail. And, of course, will you wear the, quote, device? Is this the mark? Click that. You will find a full list of a bibliography, all of the sources, and you will find overflow. That is all the stuff that could not fit into the show, and there's some really good stuff down there. So make sure to check that out before you leave. And then make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/friends. All of our mods, which, again, on a nightly basis, sometimes it will be 2, 3, 5, 6, however many are down there. Even with 10 or 20, they are essentially dealing with chat that is 2,000 to 3,000 people every night. So it gets really crazy. So make sure to thank them by going and subscribing. They're always trying to pass on the peace and to help people find links or to navigate the Fugle fam and to navigate all of our friends. So make sure to thank them. Not to mention, they've got great content. Trinity has all sorts of great stuff on her channel. Make sure to check her out. Go check out Ilea on Twitter. Links are all there, which we actually have an Ilea tweet here later with the meteor that looks like Superman. Mind you, what she pointed out was 3 days after Tom McDonald put out his song that we need a Superman. And now, I think, isn't that the... Dex, do you know what that arc is in the picture? Is that the Detroit, or not Detroit? What is that arc thing? Is that where it was? Is that that huge sculpture thing? Is that it? That's what it looked like, at least. What is this?
I thought it was in Minnesota. I'm not sure what the video of the tweet is.
Okay. Maybe I just looked at it and thought, oh, that's the arc thing. Either way, so Dex, do you want to comment on the AI stuff, the facial recognition tool by Clearview? Because that's really creepy, and there's more AI and facial recognition stuff later. So, do you want to tie that in?
This world we're living in, this tech-based world that we're living in, with the advancements in AI, the advancements of facial recognition, and the amount of data that they collect and hold, whether it's they being the government, or they even just being these marketers and business platforms like, these social networks that try to make money off of all of it. The fact that they can just quickly pull up anything about everybody, and they make tools for this, whether the DoD can use it or they can, within legal limits, allow commercial companies to use it, it's pretty darn scary. And I think we need to be well aware, but we also need to think about like what can we do differently with our own future, and should we be doing things differently and expecting things from those that make the laws and can change the laws with this? I don't know. I'm not looking forward to the day where something like Clearview is literally in the hands, and it already is, of you know dictators or a government that you wouldn't be happy with or have the ability to be controlled by its own people in a democratic way or in a constitutional republic way. And that's the scary thought.
Yeah, in the words of what was it? What is his Ramaswamy? What? How do you say his name? I screw it up when I try to just pop it out of nowhere. Ramaswamy. He called Zelensky Nazi. That was pretty crazy. That was on one of the debates the other day. And then China is using the world's largest known online disinformation operation to harass Americans. And this is coming straight out of CNN, so take it with a bucket of salt. But remember, CNN and all of these mainstream networks, including Fox and the other side of things, which it's not really the other side anymore, or even close to pretending, but all of these media companies, people just assume, and I see a lot of people that just believe everything, absolutely everything is just fake. There are real events going on. There are real events happening, but their job is to shape your view of it, to shape the narrative around it. So if there's an explosion, they want you to think it is because of this or that. If there is an event where 3 people perish, they can shape exactly what happened in that event, even if that's not exactly what happened or if it's not even close. They can shape the view of it. They can literally turn the public opinion either favorable towards something or someone or against something and someone. All how they package it up, just like PR campaigns do for politicians, where they go to a Midwest town and they decide to have dress shoes, but they're slightly scuffed compared to really scuffed, and you have to have the right amount of scuffage and maybe a spot on your suit to show you're human. These are all things that they think tank out. Well, media is directly tied with the governments now. So when you look at this, understand that there's a lot of truth in a lot of what's going on in the current age. You have to figure out, where are they trying to shift my narrative? Where are they trying to shift my brain into thinking? And it says that China's using the world's largest known online disinformation operation, has built up the world's largest known online disinformation operation, and it is using it to harass U.S. residents, politicians, and businesses, at times threatening its targets with violence. A CNN review of court documents and public disclosures by social media companies has found. The onslaught of attacks, often of violent, deeply personal nature, is part of a well-organized, increasingly brazen Chinese government intimidation campaign targeting people in the United States, documents show. Again, targeting those same people that they basically kicked off the sidewalks so they could bring in the leader and so they could bus in thousands of Chinese students to wave Chinese flags to make the president happy. Because he's on his way to eat his $2,000 dinner. The U.S. State Department says the tactics are part of a broader multi-billion-dollar effort to shape the world's information environment and silence critics of Beijing that has expanded under President Xi Jinping. On Wednesday, President JB is due to meet Xi at the summit in San Francisco. Now, I want to point out, obviously, I'm not exactly cheering the guy on. And as you guys know, I've had a certain thought for a long time. I have had the weirdest experiences, and some of them I don't talk about publicly. Some of them are public because these folks do come in. But I've had people that from Americans that live there to other people that essentially come in and they say these random things like, oh, China's great to live in and it's one of the freest places I've ever lived. And like, you'll see the same kind of comment over and over again. And a lot of it is in comments, and either myself or mods will go in and they'll look at it and go, what the heck is this? They'll see the same comment 10 times over from different people, different accounts. And it's all anything. And I'm sure that what's great for us, I guess, is that the algorithm doesn't show us to them. So if they're searching up something, we're the last people you find, which I guess in a lot of ways is a good thing. So if we were really popular and showing up everywhere, you would get a lot more of the attention of this group. They have over 1 million people on their online army military. They have human beings, 1 million of them on the payroll just to do things online. So that's the biggest online military ever. It says victims face a barrage of tens of thousands of social media posts that call them traitors, dog, and homo slurs. And they say it's all part of an effort to drive them into a state of constant fear and paranoia. Often these victims don't know where to turn. Some have spoken to law enforcement, including the FBI, but little has been done. While tech and social media companies have shut down thousands of accounts targeting these victims, they're outpaced by a slew of new accounts emerging virtually every day. Known as Spamiflage or Dragon Bridge, the network's hundreds of thousands of accounts spread across every major social media platform have not only harassed Americans who have criticized the Chinese Communist Party, but have also sought to discredit U.S. politicians, disparage American companies at odds with China's interests, and hijack online conversations around the globe that could portray the CCP in a negative light. For once, I actually, this is from talking to military, to personal friends, people in the banking industry. I believe this is actually pretty close. I'm kind of surprised. Automatically, people assume, oh, it's coming from CNN. It's got to be the opposite. This one, I believe they aren't the first ones to cover it, and I think that they're just late to the boat. Dex, go ahead.
Give me on this this article. So as far as the disinformation, I mean, like, this isn't new news, but it's also something that it's interesting to see why are they saying it now with the big meeting coming up. I think that's the question, and then you kind of have to look at the source here being the three-letter the CNN, which many think is the three-letter agency, but yeah, that's worthy of paying attention to for sure.
Now, I did want to have you cover it. You're more familiar with internet and technology like this. This is pretty crazy. China launches world's fastest internet with 1.2 terabit second link. That seems almost overkill, but that is incredibly fast, is it not?
It is super fast. It's sort of like transferring 150 movies in a second. It's just huge. And the reason so there's a couple of reasons this is a big deal. Number one is China. They've sort of beat everybody to it. Some may think that's a tech advantage. And it's not just that they were able to achieve the speed; they've achieved the speed in production. It's just a line they've put in. It's an fiber optical cabling system they built. It's running 1,860 miles, and they are now traveling at 1.2 terabits, which is 1,200 gigabits. If you've had a Ethernet in your house, at best you might have 1 gigabit. You might have 1,000 megabits on it, or 10 megabits as we used to call it. But even in our own backbone here in America, we use 100 gigabit lines, and we've recently upgraded to 400 gigabit lines for our backhauling, which is what the internet runs on. So for them to launch 1.2 terabits is huge. It's a major milestone. It's a big advantage. I'm sure it's not just something that's going to be exclusive to them. The technology will work its way around to everyone else. And if it is exclusive to them, they'll sell it, I'm sure. But nonetheless, it's a sign of their capabilities. It's also a sign of the fact that they're very new and developed in the sense of the technology that they're building. They're working with the latest and greatest, as opposed to our platforms, which are being built on older systems that have been around for a long time. But for them to achieve this it's pretty huge. And they even said it's like 3 years ahead of schedule. And when they say ahead of schedule, they have predictions as to how long it takes to advance technology. Things like, how large hard drives can be, how fast computer processing can be. In this case, how much data can we transmit across cables, and over distance. How long it takes us to improve that from the days of the old, squeaky modem to now this 1.2 terabytes a second, which is huge. Terabits, I should say.
Somebody said Dex is nerding out. By the way, I'm the biggest nerd you will ever meet. I think it's scary that they are going to have this right before they are now trying to make this underground cable, and they're competing against the U.S. for these cables that they're going to do and other projects that they said are in the future. They want to steal all of the business away from U.S. They have essentially made it kind of a selling point that, oh, you won't have the U.S. Monitoring you. You'll have us. Like, I don't know how that's a selling point. I would think the opposite, since they're one of the worst. But basically, there's some of the countries have such big kind of beefs with us and our CIA and three-letter agencies that they would rather have China be providing their all sorts of services instead of the U.S. because they don't want the U.S. meddling in their affairs. So they're going to have all sorts of things in their bag of toys that people can purchase from them. Dex, go ahead.
And since I geeked out too much for you guys, just put it in simple terms, their technology is 10 times faster than what we use here in America now because they've rolled us out.
Thank you for translating for us. That's big. That's huge. And then we have Google's new AI weatherman will leave forecasters in the dust. So I've been talking about this lately. We're going to talk about at the very end something that's going on with actually this platform and what is happening with Google and what's happening with the tube. There's all sorts of videos popping out. I don't know if you've noticed that, especially around UK and Russia. There's these videos that at first they sound like just a regular person narrating them, but then you realize that there are those computer voices, and then you realize that the script is wrote by AI. And you know it because it will say things that are not translated right, but it's not like somebody from some other country is doing it. It's literally like it's a mistake that only a machine would make, like saying things in plural when it's not supposed to be, or vice versa, or saying things as a matter of fact. And it's somebody narrating it, and the voice things that do this are so good now. You really can't tell for a minute until they mess up and say something that's just totally off and doesn't work. Or they'll pronounce something that looks how it's spelled, but it's not. If you've ever had one of those things and where you type in a word and it says it with a computer voice, then you know what I mean. You'll say knife and it will say K-N-F-A, or something like that. It will read it wrong. But now everything is turning into AI. This is the scary thing for me is how much this is going to change everything. And it really sucks being a creator and living in a world where every year something is drastically changing to the point where they have to then come in and clamp down on something. And it always affects us. It always affects us here for some reason. Every single event that happens with the internet, they're like, oh, well, we've got to cut this out. It's like, I don't understand it. But it says that finally a robot will tell you which jacket you should wear to the function. Google DeepMind, the search giant's AI-centric brain trust, just announced a new weather forecasting model that beats traditional systems more than 90% of the time. Named GraphCast, the machine learning model promises 10-day predictions that are better, faster, and more energy efficient than tools that run your weather app today. Gosh, I could just see 40 years in the future when everything is AI, and then when anything gets shut off, people are just basically Idiocracy, the movie, just, how do I ow, my balls. Like, nobody will be able to do anything. We won't have weathermen. We won't have engineers. We won't have any of these things because we'll have AI do it for us. And when the power goes out, we're going to be back to cavemen. People think this is evolution. I think this is devolution. This is devolving, in my opinion. We're creating these things so we do less. We needed to do the opposite. We needed to improve our brain that we use less than 10% of. We needed to be doing that. And I guess you could argue that that's kind of what Elon Musk is trying to do, or at least what he's saying that he's kind of doing with this brain implant chip. But AI and having it take over, that should have been like a clear line from the beginning. But unfortunately, other countries are not going to listen to that line. And if they go over the line and we don't, then we can lose in a serious war of AI. Very, very freaky how many things are being taken over by this thing again. It says, we believe this marks a turning point in weather forecasting. It says in general, the current model for forecast is called numerical weather prediction, or NWP, plugs current weather conditions into enormous models that simulate upcoming changes based on the principle of fluid dynamics, thermodynamics, and other atmospheric sciences. It's complicated, expensive, and calls for tons of computing power. And they're going to, of course, make sure to do it. Before we move on, I want to remind you guys, we have talked about EMPs for years. And again, it is now being talked about at the highest levels, and it is one of the biggest threats to the United States. As far as Europe, you guys have a reasonable threat as well, but especially if you live here in the United States, then you would definitely want to look into how you can actually protect yourself against these kinds of events. Not only does this device, well wired into your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, home, solar generator, gas generator, protect your device against a EMP or all phases of an EMP, it will also protect you against a Carrington-level event from the sun. This is an incredible, simple device that can be wired in less than 10 minutes, red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and green to a part of the frame, and it will ground that signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it can fry your device. Go to marfuglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. You'll not only save $50 off per device, so if you have multiple cars or a car, generator, home, any kind of combination, you will get $50 off each one. Not to mention, you will help us out. We are completely independent. We don't have any backup, and we don't have a multi-channel network to protect us if something goes wrong. If AI wants to take over and they clamp down on anything related, we're on our own. So thank you guys for your support. More so, please share us and make sure to follow us on all platforms. On the website, you'll see all the platforms we're on. Make sure to follow and subscribe to each one. And this is growing increasingly important. So please make sure to follow us everywhere and sign up for our email list. Again, this is going to be incredibly important very, very soon. If you want to, especially if we have any kind of information, we are going to share that through this email list. This was originally done as a I want to know list. If we know something and it absolutely we know can happen, it's not something we can share publicly, we would share it through this. So again, go to marfuglenews.com. We don't email. The last email was over a year ago. We email in special occasions. Again, this is what that's for. And if something goes on, then this would be the way to do it. Very easy. You just need an email. If you don't want to use your regular one, make up a second one. Very, very important. marfuglenews.com. Sign up for the email list and notifications. All right, Dex, South Korea, Yoon will warn APEC leaders about the risks of a Russia-North Korean arms deal. What's going on with this?
Well, we've talked quite a bit about South Korea's concern over the deals that have been going on under the table, so to speak, between Russia and North Korea. But coming to San Francisco, and by the way, did y'all know that President Yoon from South Korea is coming to San Francisco? I don't think all the pomp and circumstance is happening for him. Just Xi. It's just rolling out the red carpet and making everything look pretty for him. It's not for every other leader in other countries that come to our country. So, but nonetheless, he is going to be, or they are going to be using this event, the Asian Pacific Economic Corporation Summit this week, the APEC, to emphasize and reiterate the problems that they're having and that are going on with NK above them. And I'll remind you that there's been these correlations, not correlations, but they've been considering and training for and even suggesting that NK might even do something, or Kim might even do something akin to what happened in on the 7th in Israel. So that's the other kind of thing that they keep saying. They keep bringing that up. And I don't know why they think that versus it would be something different, but they're suggesting that they could even see something like that. So they're going to bring it to the forefront. They're going to continue to reiterate it. Of course, that message is easily heard and understood from the allies. But with Xi there, it might be a different audience, so to speak.
Again, just to remind you, we've covered this, and it was just back page news. They talked about this very specific drill, and everybody that watches every day, thank you guys so much. And I am sorry, but when I see a lot of new people and a lot of new names, I try to repeat the really important stuff. The drill was specifically had a scenario where North Korea did and they described it in their own words, an event just like October 7th, where they attacked by artillery and it was a surprise, right? When you see that kind of stuff on Backpage and you know that our side or their side is preparing for it, then realize it could either be a Fantastic Freddy where it looks like what they're describing, or it is an actual intelligence on something like that happening. That would be something that triggers everything. If we have Israel, Hamas, UK and Russia, and then South Korea, this is exactly what I've predicted could happen. If it's not them, it's China and Taiwan. If we have all three of those going on at the same time, you should know at that point. If you really don't know we're in World War III, then you just need to get out of the way. Like, it is go time at that point. If we have three major wars like that going on at the same time where the U.S. is involved, you better have a plan. But as far as that thing, something does not sit right. Something does not sit right with all of this in California. South Korean president comes to town. They're not going to paint the town to make it look nice, to make sure that he's impressed with it. Why are we doing it with China? Obviously, China's number 2 in the world. South Korea is not. But still, it's like, why? Why would we do that? We've never done that. That's World War III times 3. That's World War times 3. Yeah, exactly. Ready now. Angelo Perfelli, I think that's how you say it, and I apologize if I said that wrong. Thank you for joining. Says, I'm now an avid watcher. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you to all the new people that we are seeing. Even though our subscriber count doesn't go up, we do get a lot of new people every day. I think they just axe out a lot of the old ones as we gain. We'll see a gain of 4,000 a month, and we'll see a drop off of the oldest 4,000 a month. Pretty crazy. It's almost like they're like, oh, how can we literally just keep them grinding? Spoiler alert, Jesus won. That's awesome. Keith Simmons, wonderful. Trilicit. We've got Commander Corvus. Let's see, Gruesome Newsom is being prepped for running for prez. See, I think it's worse than that. I think people are going to see that, right? Just like when we saw 200,000 coming in, somebody said, we just thought that they were getting voters, right? It could be much worse than that. They could be soldiers. So maybe I always look at stuff, and if it is so obvious and it looks like this, then you might want to think of the plan B if that's not what it looks like. Maybe he's not going to be prez, or maybe he is, and under what circumstances would that happen? It's a scary circumstance to even think about. Trilicit, thank you for the super. I appreciate that. And Juby Joe says, I'm just overjoyed I can hear Dex finally. Huh. Were you not able to hear him before? Huh. And then Jammer1, thank you. And thank you, Juby Joe. Project Exodus, big hello from Dana in Missouri. Viv B. Hezbollah has been in Venezuela for many years. Some grew up there fluent in Spanish. So when they cross over to the U.S., we mistake them for native South Americans, but they are not. That was source Michael Yon, Combat Journal, ex-Special Forces. Viv B, we just told you a week ago, we're working on a project. You are going to see the connections that are all over. It is absolutely nuts. You are going to understand why Venezuela, why Cuba, why all these different places are really important right now. You're also going to realize, I think that we're going to make a good enough point to where people understand why we are stressing that it does not look like the U.S. is safe anymore. So stay tuned, Viv B. Thank you. And that is, please read Viv B's comment. Make sure to take note of that. That is an incredibly important comment. All right. And then Israel wants to obliterate the strip to deter Hezbollah, says Dutch memo. Dex, do you want to go over this? Apparently the Dutch know what's up or something.
Yeah, so this is from a confidential memo from the Dutch embassy in Tel Aviv, according to the sources. But what they're suggesting in this memo, and it's just insight. Take it for what it's worth. It's what they think. But the fact that they're saying it and it's getting leaked out is kind of interesting. But they're saying that the reason you're seeing, or one of the main reasons you're seeing Israel use what they say is a quote, disproportionate force. In other words, all of the shock and awe that's going, especially quote unquote civilian infrastructure, which is coming out of this memo, and showcasing military force. They're doing it to gain the attention of Iran and its other groups that it controls. And I guess the thought is if they can show so much strength and so much destruction and force, that will be a deterrent and get them to back down, and get them to stop trying to continuously wage conflict against them. So that's it's an internal memo. It was from obviously from the embassy there. This is what the Dutch were saying. Um, yeah, take it for what it's worth, but at the same time, it may be just their opinion, but it could also be what they've been told confidentially.
Yeah, we don't. As far as it's actually pretty rare we hear anything out of Dutch news, but we will see. By the way, it also reminded me last show everybody was talking about Dutch cents, and I don't know why. I don't know what's going on with that, but somebody said he was live, and then somebody says he's gone and done forever. I keep losing track with him because he will go without creating for a while because he's got a lot of stuff going on, and then he'll come back and then he'll go again. But I hope he's okay. I'll just state my concern and that I'm praying for him to be okay and that everything is good with him. And then a lot of earthquakes recently, so it's a good time for Dutch to make a comeback. And then Slovakia confirms to NATO Secretary General it will not support UKR with weapons. At a meeting with Brussels and NATO Secretary Jens Stoltenberg, Robert Kalinak, Slovak defense minister, confirmed that the new Slovak government will not transfer military assistance to Ukraine from its warehouses. So, Dex, is this the second or the third? This is a totally different country from last time, right? So we're hearing multiple countries come out and say this.
Oh yeah, we've heard plenty. They I believe that they are part of NATO as well. So yeah, they're one of the members. And we've seen different things come up with I guess the tension, whether it's over funding, whether it's over the pipeline of importing in weapons or giving their own weapons. In this case, it sounds like they're talking about not transferring assistance from its warehouses. So I'm maybe taking that as the interpretation as they're not going to transfer their own goods. But you got another country like say Poland that actually is the pipeline. Like things go through Poland to get there. So they have a different role to play in addition to just giving some of their own equipment. They actually run sort of the pipeline. So all different angles are coming up here, and it's not looking really good for UKR as far as support. As everybody's sort of forgetting about them, or not willing to participate anymore, or fund anymore, or give up anymore of their equipment. And I think a lot of people got in, or a lot of these countries came around on this thinking it was going to be a short-term event, and here we are, a year plus later.
Yeah. So my prediction, just from seeing the pattern of two countries, at least two, possibly three, that we're probably going to see more of that, and they're going to fade out of that, fade to black, and then fade to yellow, I guess. And then Bill Gates buying up land, threatening small farms. This is again what the author claims in guise of saving the world. There's a lot of us that obviously feel like it's hard to wrap our head around some of the things that are said about different things going on in the world, and we think about like how could people do this stuff? How could somebody want to reduce the amount of people, even knowing that would affect good people, innocent people, women, children? How could they think that? Well, I'm sure that there's a conscience saver in there somewhere. If you look at it, if they actually tell themselves they're doing it because there's a greater good, sacrifice a few for the good of the many, right? Or sacrifice the many for the good of the few, right? Whatever it is. But I find it's a lot easier to understand this stuff if you put yourself in the shoes of the most evil. Because if you realize how they think of us, like the poo on the bottom of their shoe, they don't want us to around us. They don't want to be within smelling distance. They don't want to be in the same places as us. They don't want to touch surfaces we've touched. That's how they think of us. They think of us as germs that need to be sanitized. And if you have not met somebody that's close to this level, then you probably wouldn't know that. But if you do, it is, I don't know what the culture is. There are some pretty really, really rich people that are not like this, but it's pretty rare. And the reason why is once you get up to that level of money, businesses are different. Culture is different. Everything is different. To take, for instance, the Bugatti buying thing, right? People are fascinated with it, but it's actually not unique. If you buy a Bugatti, in fact, you can't just go in. If you have $1 million or something for a Bugatti, you can't just go buy it. They have to approve you to buy it. Even if once you do, they have to make sure that you're going to represent the company and blah, blah, blah. And they essentially say if you can or cannot. Now, you can go buy a used one all you want. But even there, I think there's fines and things kind of like what Elon just did with the Cybertruck. But and then after you buy it, you go to a special dinner with a bunch of billionaires that also are buying the car. And they treat you to this, like, tens of thousands, probably $2,000 plate food. And you hang out with all the rich celebrities that just bought a Bugatti too, or the rich celebrities that already have one. It's a club, right? A lot of the very richest people in the world, there is no coincidence of why they're rich. They're rich, either they were born with it or they made it into that. And if they did make it into that, it's most likely because they were part of the club, part of these clubs, part of the groups, part of the cross skull and, all of the bones kind of things. And people think that this is like silly fairy tales. This is all real stuff. There's a reason why 34 out of, I don't even know what it is now. I remember back 10, 15 years ago, it was like 33 out of however many the presidents, 40 out of 44 or something were in a certain group, or they were confirmed to be this, right? There's a reason for that. There's a reason why a lot of the folks are from Yale or Harvard or these elite schools, right? Not just because they went to a good school that they automatically get a good job. It's because they are from a sort of royalty. So as far as what's happening with Mr. Gilly, this is freaky. And they say he's buying up all this farmland, and it's under the guise of saving the world. Just trying to get the point across that maybe in their heads, they think they are literally saving the world. And maybe that would justify the horrible things that are rumored. It says a new book aimed at exposing the billionaire class says that Microsoft co-founder Mr. Gilly investments in patent fertilizers, fake meat, and U.S. farmlands aren't saving the planet, but rather enriching his bank account. Controligarchs, which hits bookshelves Tuesday, examines billionaires like Gilly and how their wealth controls the levers of power that dominate everyday life of average Americans. Authors and investigative journalist Shamus Bruner, who led teams whose findings sparked multiple FBI investigations and congressional probes into the JB families, says that his research uncovered that Mr. Gilly efforts to buy up American farmland and invest in synthetic dairy and lab-grown meats in the name of preventing the Great Change, or in the climate. In the process, Bruner says that Mr. Gilly is doing more to inflate his net worth than eliminate carbon emissions. This is, of course, the claim, right? First, it was patent seeds and patent fertilizers, and now they are patenting meat alternatives. Banning cattle would grant effective monopolies to alternative protein companies and benefit investors such as Gilly, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and even the BlackRock. Fake meats are about controlling the food market, not saving the planet, Bruner said in an interview with Fox News Digital. Press 1 if you believe that this is closer to correct than not. Press 2 if you think this is false or closer to false. I'll just put that up on screen. 1 for if you think that line of thinking is right. 2 if you think it's false or incorrect. Uh, 2.8 thousand, 2.9 thousand in chat. And yeah, I don't know. You can take a good 100 people and you can get a good feel for something. But yeah, looks like most of the people are going with the number 1. So you can tell most people are not kind of falling for it. I don't know. Just me. Just saying. Dex, as far as the buying up the farmland too, it's like now we have this crazy inflation, especially on meat. I mean, people have taken pictures and sent it to us. Well, we got a picture the other day of like a $44 T-bone or something. It was something crazy. It was so absurd, but it was a small steak. And also they've talked about, in fact, the Prez said in a speech not too long ago that in the future, he mentioned this thing like in the future, people would be limited to something like 8 ounces of steak a month, that it would be like a treat, right? Is that the future?
Yeah. This is very much by design. And you can watch the designs happening. You can see the fact that they try to create, I think the author even said this later in the text or in his book, that it's about the trademarks, it's about the copyrights, it's about the patents, it's about what they can control and own, instead of where we have more freedoms now and we can just eat what's out there. They want to have the power over the most important things, whether it's our air, our water, our food, our ability to travel somewhere, you name it. You start looking at everything around you, and everything is now becoming controlled. And the people at the top are finding more ways to not only control it, but to make money off of it, and our money.
So I definitely want to check out this book. It's called Control Oligarchs. I'm not representing it, not saying that it or what do you? I'm not giving it my stamp of approval because I haven't read it. But it looks like something interesting. It looks like it's up my alley, kind of like RFK's book about the whole stuff that went down with CV and the pharma. Like, there's some good books out there, but you always got to take everything with a grain of salt, anyways. But unfortunately, what's crazy is something like this gets put out. Nobody really doubts it. Maybe they got Gates wrong. Maybe he's just a really good guy. He's a family man. He's good with everybody. He's when he went to EpiPen's Island, he hung out in the garden. He was planting stuff. He was planting trees. Okay. He was cradling bees. He was making sure they didn't die. He was doing a little mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on a little bumblebee, okay? When EpiPen was doing all that nasty stuff. He was on the other side, okay? He was please breathe. That's Mr. Bill, okay? You guys have him all wrong. He's a good man. He gets such a bad rap. That little bumblebee survived. Go fly away, bumblebee. Go live your life. We are truly independent. Go check out Energy. Again, you can go one of the best solar generators on the market. Marfooglenews.com/energy. It's expandable. It is modular. It can be changed and it can be rearranged to your liking. You don't have to get the biggest, craziest system, or you can get the biggest, craziest system. It's up to you. Not to mention, you won't have to deal with gas stations in a SHTF. You won't have to store fuel. All you need is some folding solar panels. And again, I'd recommend getting theirs because they are really awesome. Daisy chain them like Christmas lights. Very easy. One cord plugged in and boom, you got it. Or you can charge it from the wall when you do have power. Then when your power does go out, you have power stored up and ready to go. Not to mention it's silent. You can run it in the house and nobody's going to hear it from 3 blocks away. This is one of the best companies out there. That's why they're actually sending off the Flex Tactical to the U.S. Army. This one was designed with the U.S. Air Force Research Laboratory and now won the SBIR Phase 2 contract with the Army. Go check it out. It helps us out, and it gets you a huge discount, so it's a win-win. You pay less, you help your favorite channel, and you, of course, get something that will actually help you through any kind of disaster, whether it be SHTF or just a storm. So go check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. All right, and okay, so Dex, this Humane, and he named it Humane. Speaking of Mr. Gilly, he's done.
Well,
the bee's alive. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to clarify. We don't know that he's invested in this, but they're tying the two together. So I don't want to make the claim that it's his company yet.
Yeah. So again, with Mr. Gilly, right? He is. There's been other claims, so we'll go through it. You can explain. Go.
Yeah. I just
they named it Humane,
the author,
though.
Yeah, the name, you're spot on with the name. I just don't want people to get misled because the way the author from Forbes wrote this is Gilly and Humane's AI pin, as if they're the one and the same. Now, I did a little research in the last few minutes just trying to figure it out, and the people that invested in Humane also invested, and I think Sam Altman is involved in it. Some other investment companies, including Microsoft, are involved in it. So you can sort of see the workaround as to why Bill is being involved in this narrative. As we talk more about this, the reason they're drawing this conclusion between the two is what they're preaching and what they're saying is almost identical. So Humane is launching this AI pin that you literally wear on your body, and it has no interface. There's nothing to it. It's like a $700 computing device that you just wear, but you talk to it, you react to it, and it's supposed to be like your personal assistant type of thing, which is what just a few days ago Bill was talking about in his Reddit, saying how important the AI systems are going to be for these type of personal assistants. So I think that's why they're sort of drawing these correlations, but we don't know if he actually owns it. But there's certainly a lot of mystery around it because we don't know all the details because it's a private company at the moment. But anyway, this tech is kind of creepy because like it's got a camera on it, it's got a GPS in it, it's got a microphone in it, it's constantly listening. I mean, at the same time, you say, well, yeah, my cell phone does that too. And it does. But this is like not doing anything other than being worn on your body and you just talk to it.
Is it facing out?
It's kind of creepy.
Is it facing out? Because my thought is like, if you've ever seen the Batman movie where they say, oh, we used every cell phone in Gotham City to give them a 3D version. Think about this. If this is wearing on a pin, it's facing forward. You have all of these people, thousands of people. You wouldn't need every single person to wear one. You would have a live feed of almost everywhere in the world, at least big cities and things. You would have constant facial recognition going everywhere. And believe me, they're going to add all of this kind of stuff to technology like this that you wear as a pin. I would think that this is facing out. Why would it be faced towards you? You can't have it in front of you, but you can team them up with the crazy weird Ray-Bans, right? So this is
exactly
funky.
Yeah, and it loaded down with sensors, cameras, GPS, cellular connection, accelerometers, microphones, speakers, whatever. Like, who knows what else they'll put in this? And it very well could have a camera looking up at you, seeing what you're doing, as well as it has one looking out and seeing everything that you're seeing. We've even seen that even with like that new Apple AR. It's got cameras inside looking at your eyes so that it can replicate what your eyes look like to the person standing there looking at you with these goofy goggles on, right? Just as much as it has cameras looking out so it can show you a screen so you don't trip and fall while you're walking around your house with these big goofy goggles on. So yeah, this world is changing quite a bit. Now, a lot of people that are in the tech space will be like, oh yeah, it's just evolution. Like you've got all this in your phone's in your pocket, it's doing all this, right? You're just bringing it in a different format. And some may say, okay, fine, but we're really getting much closer to that world where they're really trying to embed this technology into our existence. And like I can take my cell phone and put it down and walk away. One day they're going to have all this stuff implanted in your body and you can't walk away from it. And that's the scary thought.
Optical implants, things like this. These are all being worked on. As far as this, I could also think you're walking down the street. Say you're lost in a neighborhood you've never been in. You can literally say, where am I? It uses Google Earth and it grabs it and it goes, you're on 4th and blah, blah, blah. Take a right here. They say it doesn't do phone calls. Like it's not a phone, right? But it does everything else. And the crazy things that they're going to say that this thing could do. And by the way, Mr. Gilly is the one who says within a couple years, you're going to have an AI assistant. This one's like $24 a month, something like this, blah, blah, blah. What does it do that your cell phone can't? Or are they trying to do all the good things that you use your cell phone out, but now you don't have to do anything? Everything is voice recognized and all that. Well, the phone does that anyways. That means for this thing to work and for the people that are behind this technology and the other investors, some of the biggest names are behind stuff like this, means that there's something coming that we really are going to go, whoa, this is awesome, But I would say make sure you read the fine print. They could use this data just like Twitter could use the data for an AI, just like Facebook could use our data of how we talk and everything to train an AI assistant. This could train a new kind of AI. You're talking about it could map streets while everybody's walking around with it for the use of humanoid robots to then go replace us. And it sounds Terminator, sounds very movie-esque, but we're talking about they are very close to having robots that would be able to do minimum wage jobs, pretty much any minimum wage job you can think of. They are coming up with ideas and patents for robots that would be able to do that, including construction. Specialist robots, they're looking into programming them, how to do flooring, how to do... Imagine, I did flooring, snap together, snap tight. I've done all sorts of different construction. I've done concrete. Think about like snap tight flooring. I was on my knees 12 hours a day and, putting the snap tight. A robot could easily do that. And a robot could do an entire building overnight. You could just set it and forget it. That kind of thing. Do all the sawing, saw the pieces, measure everything. Like these kind of jobs are going to not be by humans anymore. Robots don't have L&I claims. They don't have insurance. They don't have any of that. And they don't have accidents. And if they do, it's not a lawsuit. Dex, go ahead.
If you want to grab, I put a link to a vote that the FCC is doing tomorrow that everybody should be aware of. I know a lot of people.
This could affect us, right? This is what.
Yeah. Well, it can affect everybody because it's about the net and the internet and how it's managed, and the control it's giving to the administration or to the government, so to speak, as opposed to being left alone and for free commerce to run.
Somebody commented earlier, said this could be the last show if the FCC takes over the what do you call it? Yeah, I hope that's not the case.
I don't think it'll be that fast, but at the same time, this is even the link we're going to put up is coming from a Carr who opposes it. Actually, he's from the FCC, but they actually have to vote on it, and they're voting on it tomorrow. But what is going on in simple terms, if I can just, and I'm going to oversimplify it for those of you that have studied it, you're going to be like, Dex, there's so much more important stuff than what you're saying. Yes, there is. There's a lot of details in here, but they're basically trying to take control and give control to the government, the infrastructure deployment, the network reliability, all of the platforms and systems and the costs and the fees and the fines and the everything related to the internet. And I think that that will pretty much go a lot further than we think. Because at the surface, you just think, oh, well, it's just about making sure everybody in America can afford the internet. Well, I think they already do that. But it's, they're talking about taking over these platforms and taking over control of the infrastructure and how it's deployed, but it's also the services on top of that. So
Oh,
when you start to get into that gray area of services,
no
and
coincidence.
rules can be created. Yes, go ahead.
No coincidence that this is right before people are going to be dropping their pick in the box, right?
Exactly. And this could be that setup. If this passes and gets through, and then I could easily see that by the end of the year, new rules are enacted by into next quarter and into the first half of next year. All of a sudden, there's fines that get imposed upon social platforms or other internet companies that allow certain types of things to happen that the government doesn't want to
But
see
nobody's
happen.
talked about this. Nobody's been talking about this. And this happens tomorrow. And it's like,
well, the FCC actually has to vote on it tomorrow, I believe the 15th. So yes,
you know why I think this is actually going to happen is because this would be the most, this would be literally a play that you would see right before this stuff goes down. Meanwhile, everybody is focused on all of these other world events. Watch after this passes, just everything goes back to forget the strip, forget all this, and everybody just goes back to normal. This is a huge, huge deal. Effective control of all internet services and infrastructure in the U.S. by JB. It's the JB's administration's plan. I just like, oh man. I'm so tired of this. Is the worst. It's always something else is happening. And it's like sometimes you wish you could, doesn't matter what, yeah. It's like I know this is going to affect all of us, especially everybody here that looks. The people that you watch, the people that you look at, I guarantee you this has something to do with that. But we'll see. This people should have been protesting out in the streets for this. But it can't, of course, nobody's not. Everybody's talking about 10 other things. All right. And then, Dex, sorry, and I did interrupt you. I didn't want you to. I'm sorry. I just had to say that.
No, you're fine. I mean, it's a complicated topic, and you could probably talk about it for an hour or more just to even understand everything that's in this. But it's something. But at the same time, it's not anything we can do about it right now, other than be mad because it's in the hand. It was an executive order from the president who put it out there and told the FCC to do this. So we're waiting now and see if the FCC will do it. And that's what the vote is tomorrow, is to determine if they're going to or not. So I think what's more important at this point is to see what the outcome is tomorrow. And then if they do, then we can start worrying about, okay, well, what's all the nitty gritty in here that's actually going to happen because of this?
And it says that it is sitting on the spectrum that could connect millions of Americans to new fifth generation services, by the way. All this is in this system. And then, by the way, an executive order that really I didn't see any kind of big things about this. And it's really, really scary to think that this is being backpaged, right? At the same time, this is the same, taking control of infrastructure like this is something you see in wartime. This is what you see during a world war. Something could be there too. And then JFK's Parkland doctors come forward. Oswald didn't act alone. Oh, wow. Really? Yeah, because the magic bullet was working out so well. Dex, do you want to go over this?
Yeah, I'll give you the short version of it. There's a new documentary coming out, and it's called "What the Doctors Saw." And in the short form, what the doctors saw was, hey, when we examine this body, there's an entry wound here and an entry wound there, and they were told, hey, wait a minute, you can never speak of that one entry wound you're talking about. It has to be an exit. because it came from the front, not from the back. And if it came from the front, then that wouldn't hold true to the line that, Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. So the doctors are finally, coming forward and saying what they were told, and even told that they were saying what they saw, I should say, and they even were told, or even saying that they were told by what they assumed was Secret Service to not say anything at the time when it actually happened. So we can go watch the documentary when it comes out and get all the details, but that's the gist of it, and it's definitely just adds more to this story. And a lot of people suspected this anyway.
As Michael X said, rest in peace, JFK. The 3-letter agency took that man out. Heavy ordnance. Why does that sketch look like Beavis? It does kind of look like Beavis. Yeah. Cornholio assassinated. Mysterious flash boom near Bemidji believed to be a meteor. So it says people in Bemidji are asking themselves a bit of unusual question. Did a meteor land in Minnesota? Video from a home in Bemidji captured a bright flash of light and a loud boom around 6:30 p.m. It shook windows, walls, and rattled the dishes. It says, my dog about broke the door down trying to get in, who was outside at the time. So this is freaky. There was a flash, but check this out. This is a tweet by one of our mods, Ilea. And it was from Think Tank. And it says, just 3 days after Tom McDonald released his new single, Superman, which if you listen to that song, it's a really good song, talking about basically we need a Superman. Look at how the world is. We need a Superman. This video here is just insane. It literally is like, look at this.
Sky up north. It is quick, but take a look. You can see a streak of light flash right across the sky. Then it's followed by a big boom. Now,
so you see this right here.
followed by a big boom.
So just to show you that one more time.
Now when you slow down, it's followed by a light flash right across the sky. Then it's followed by a big boom.
Okay, so
Sky. Then it's followed by a big boom. See a streak of light flash right across the sky. Then it's followed by a big boom. Take a look. You can see a streak of light flash. You can see a streak of light flash right across the sky. Then it's followed by a big boom.
it actually kind of looks, I don't know if it almost looks like a missile. I don't know how a meteors go at 20,000 miles, and after they go through the atmosphere, they can go, but even a normal camera shouldn't be able to slow it down even that much. Slowing it down would be like, see little dashes, because what is it at 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, 120 frames per, it wouldn't be shooting at 120. It'd probably at most be a high def 60 frames per second. So 60 frames in 1 second, and how fast it's going, I guess it's possible. But yeah, that's really, really weird. Where is Bemidji? Dex, do you know where is Bemidji? Can you look that up? Minnesota. Is it Minnesota? Bemidji?
Yeah, it's Minnesota. It's a town in Minnesota. I don't know where.
Is it next to Djibouti? Sounds like it. Either way, do you think it was Superman? Either way, go check out Tom McDonald's new single. Tom has always been a gentleman. Even after he gained a lot of success, we for whatever reason, I think we were going to use, somebody asked him like if we could use his music or something for the shoutouts before I started doing, I was using a service and I was paying for the copyright free music, because we just kept getting copyrights for everything, because we were using these copyright services, and every time you pay so you can use their music, and we were using like instrumentals, and he said that we could use his music like anytime. I still haven't, because I know half the time the artist will tell you, oh, you can use it, but then the companies come after you, even though he doesn't have a company. Either way, I never risked it, but Tom McDonald personally responded and said, oh yeah, you can play my music anytime. Like, he's just a cool dude. Not to mention him and his, I don't know if they're married yet, but his girlfriend, Nova, she is an amazing cinematographer. She basically turns everything into magic. So go check out Tom McDonald's new single, Superman, and then go check out this clip over on marfooglenews.com. By the way, thank you, Blueberry 1968 Chapel says another great show. Like always, Adam, shout out to you, Dex, and the mods. Just on another topic, did you know that there was a cyber attack that to out a container port here in Australia for a couple of days? No, I didn't, but I know Australia is on the top of the list for different attacks. If you're in Australia, I would apply everything we say about here because you are one of our close allies. And after the AUKUS deal, you guys are in the crosshairs as well. I mean, you always were, but because you were an ally. And then Desalongo, thank you for subscribing. John Nichols, thank you for subscribing 7 minutes ago. Chahula Kitty, Katila Hulu Kitty. I don't know if I read that right. Thank you for subscribing. And see here, thank you for grabbing a badge. And thank you. I appreciate that. Dex, go ahead.
Bemidji is literally smack dab in the middle of the state of Minnesota.
Oh,
Other than telling you it's 186 miles like northwest of Minneapolis.
I thought you were going to say it was smack dab in the middle of. No, I'm just kidding. You know what I was.
I know where you're going.
You know what I mean. All right, let's go over the web only. We got a lot of stuff going on.
Yes, we sure do. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for today's show, or
Djibouti.
hit the show notes link down below in the description. It will take your Djibouti right here to this page, and you'll find everything we just talked about, including that PDF that was from the office of the Commissioner Brendan Carr about the FCC. That's up above where we talked about it. If you refresh, like we add stuff in the middle of the show, it's right there. Look, a lot of other things going on. They've got stuff with about the dinners that are coming up with Xi and I think Musk and some other high-profile CEOs from Microsoft and Citigroup and Exxon are all, chomping at the bit to meet with Xi in person there. So you learn more about that. We do have updates on what's going on in the Middle East. Some an interesting V, as in the C and the V, but not anything related to the C. But it's got a vampire on it. It's sort of it sounds worse than it really is. But if you're interested in that kind of thing, you can check out that new vampire V. It's there. Also updates in UKR, updates with all the political stuff. Apparently they've passed a bill to potentially stop the government shutdown. We'll see. All of that. And so much more. It's an entire show's worth of content. It's right there on our website. We put it together for you every night. It's the rest of the story. marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show or open up the show notes link down below in the description.
And Truth Social may be forced to shut down amid huge losses. One thing I didn't get, why did you name it that, though? Like, he should have come up with a better, catchier name. Everybody knew it was going to be his, and I get that it was behind, like, the truth. It's good in theory, but he really should have came with something that was catchy, that was something that really could just, even if he did something that was like a direct, like, sounds like, I bet people would be like, oh, yeah, I do this. Instead of Twitter, go to Critter or something. I don't know, something close. Dex, go ahead.
Speaking of Djibouti, take a look at the last headline. I'll let you decide if you want to read.
Man uses mom's poop as treatment, experiences her menopause symptoms. Experiences, kind of like all these folks that are currently experiencing homelessness. I hope they get through this current experience. I'll just leave that there. And then thank you, everybody that supported. Juby Joe, thank you again. I appreciate you. Thank you, Neil Nelson. Thank you for your massive support tonight. And I appreciate everybody that supports the show. Again, thank you for everybody that shares this out. If you do share it with somebody, make sure to tell them, like, hey, just like I tell somebody if they're watching a show, like, you got to watch a couple episodes to really understand the flow and the vibe of our community. So again, tell them, hey, watch for a few minutes. Don't just turn it off right away. Even if they're annoyed by me or annoyed by us or annoyed whatever, I guarantee you they'll find something in our show that will be able to be useful. So make sure to tell people, try a couple different shows, and stick with it. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank your mods right now, and we can do kind of a roll call / thank the mods right now, and it is officially that time. Thank you, Dex. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
It is time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro where I do bad music with your names in it. And I get 0 copyrights because, well, because it's not copyrighted. Yeah, you gotta go check out the Twitter. Roller skating Taliban. How do you stop them? With a large stick. You can stop the rolling Taliban with the stick. Neil Nelson is our top supporter tonight. Thank you so much, and thank you for sticking around for years now. I did a Neil Nelson. Neil